In protection. Be your own protection then. You're scared of men? You're scared of the violence of men? We need the government to be expansive. We need the government to expand into perpetuity because of the natural distribution of power and the tendency of violence between men and women. So we need an overgrown government? Buy a gun. A gun for a woman is a great equalizer between her and a man. It really is. It truly is. And I'm a big advocate for it. I am a huge women's gun advocate. Big women's Second Amendment advocate. I am. I'm not a feminist. I'm not a women's rights activist. I'm not a women's rights ally. I am a women's Second Amendment advocate. You want to even the playing field with men? That's the way to do it. But pretending that the government's going to protect you is the same as all these 501c3 Christian rhino boomer cons pretending that the military is going to protect them or that the police are going to protect them. It ain't happening. It's not reality. You're in charge of your security. You're listening to the Royce White Show. I'm your host, Royce White, here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. You're watching Real America's Voice, headquarters of the Ultra Mag and America First movement. We'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned. It's hard to speak about with a full throat because there's so much sensitivity around it. Not just cultural sensitivity, but legal implications. And this sort of butterfly effect. I mean, every man out there kind of gets this feeling, if I go too hard and speak too loudly about the Me Too movement, they may come for me next. And that's how witch hunts work. And that's how witch hunts start to pervert freedom and the freedom of speech. But we're not afraid of it here at Free People Radio. We're not afraid of it here on the Royce White Show. We're not afraid of it here at Real America's Voice. It must be discussed. What Jean Carroll has done, what Stormy Daniels have done, as an extension, what Fannie Willis has done, what Letitia James has done. It's all a part of the same movement. You got two black women who have been lifted up and put on a pedestal because, hey, they made it through the guilty system to now be in a position of power within that system, and somehow they're not guilty. And because they call Donald Trump a racist and say he's a danger to democracy, now they get to throw out justice law. And they get the aid and assistance of a Jean Carroll and a Stormy Daniels to work on Donald Trump's character in the court of public opinion. I mean, are you seeing what's taking place here? Am I the crazy one? I mean, I know the podcasters please call me crazy, but are you seeing what's happening here? Are you seeing how these white liberal women want us to forget that not so long ago, black men were often the victim of false claims of rape? Because daddy didn't want me having sex with a black man, but he found out, and instead of being ashamed and being disowned by my father, I'd rather just say that the young black man raped me, he forced me. Or the church. The church doesn't think I should be having sex before marriage. And so oh, he raped me. Oh, he just so happens to be black too, so he raped me. And Matilda. But the list goes on. The list goes on and on and on. And I'm not saying that women don't get raped. That's ridiculous. Of course women get raped. Of course there's men out there that are so sick and twisted and predatory that they'll wait out in the bushes and find a woman who's who they think is vulnerable or whatever the case may be, and hit her over the head and drag her off into a van and take her and rape her and maybe kill her or what. Those things happen. And they're horrifying, mortifying, scary, disgusting, vile. Only a demonic person would do such a thing. Really. But we're expanding the definition of rape so broad, it actually undermines women who were raped. It really does. That's my honest belief. We're expanding the definition way too far. I mean, I said this on the podcast, but I'll say it again. Imagine how decadent your culture must be when you have laws on the books that incentivize young men to drink, to cover themselves of legal liability if they're going to engage in sexual intercourse with a woman who may or may not have been drinking. Yeah, that's a real thing. If you have sex with a woman who was drinking, the argument is often made that she couldn't rightfully consent to the act. So now you basically used the law, the rule of law that we all so love to fetishize. You've used the rule of law to tell young men that they should drink. If they're going to be in a social setting, if they're going to be in a setting where they think they may encounter a woman that they want to pursue sexually or romantically, you're telling them that they should drink to protect themselves from legal liability. I'm not a legal prodigy here. I'm not a savant. I'm not a scholar of the law.
Okay.
I just know that that's a really bad law.
Okay, that's good.